Hello, my name is Jeff Neville and welcome to Selective Imagery. In a moment you will see a few sample images representing the types of photographs I like to take, ranging from bird photography to street, night, close-up, macro, and much more. I've had a camera in my hand since I was 7 or 8 years old, and I've never stopped. My motto is, enjoy life, capture some of it. I currently shoot Nikon, but have a vintage camera collection and have shot most major brands in my lifetime. I hope to inspire you to get out and shoot memorable images no matter the genre or what gear you use. I hope you enjoy my channel, like and subscribe, and leave constructive comments. Enjoy the video. Welcome friends to Gators and Friends with the Nikon Z9 and the 500 and 800 PF lenses. It's that time of year again, well, where we get the warning signs about gators, and they're now showing up that the temperatures are starting to warm up a little bit in the Murrells Inlet area of South Carolina. And we'll take you to a little video clip here of one swimming towards me. Once I picked up the camera, it seemed like all of a sudden he or she got a little interested in me, which I found pretty comical. Fun to watch, man. They're always fun. And here's another upcoming gator video. It's a little bit jumpy. It was very, very windy on this day, and I was hand holding. So therefore it's going to be a little bit bouncy. But this grassy knoll, we're starting to call it Gator Island because once it starts to warm up, all the gators, or not all of them, but a lot of them start to migrate around this little island clump of grass. And as you'll see later on, either in video or stills, some of the larger gators will go and crawl and lay in the middle of that little island of grass. So those that know that they're not high up in the pecking order tend to lay around it, not on it, like they almost know they're going to get shooed away by the larger ones when they show up. And here's a few still photographs. And you can see some of the bigger ones are starting to show up around the island. And the little one knows its place. It's on the outside. And we'll skip to a few videos here. And here we have a gator that's probably only about 15-20 feet away from that little grassy knoll that we're going to nickname Gator Island. And it's just kind of floating around, taking its time, not in any hurry to get there. You can see the vegetation on the top of the water. Unfortunately, they've lowered the water level once again. It's 6 inches or more lower than it normally would be. So when they do that, the sun is hitting grasses more directly. They start to grow like crazy. And last year, in the summertime, we had a fish kill, I think largely in part due to the excess grass growth and oxygen deprivation that occurred as a result of all the grasses growing like crazy. And hopefully we don't have a repeat performance this year, although many of the large fish are no longer on the pond side anymore. They have not been replenished in any way. And here's a few still photos. They like laying in the grass. Here's a video of one approaching that island. And he or she is going to crawl up there and lay down. Now there seems to be a fair amount of gators that are probably in that 6 to 8 foot length range. Now a male can grow up to 15 feet. There isn't anything in here anywhere near 15 feet. Female can grow to 12. I don't think there's anything in here that's 12 feet either. You know, maybe 10, possibly 11. But they do remove the gators when they get what they consider to be too large. You know, years ago you could have some in here that were, you know, maybe 13 feet or slightly bigger, but not so much anymore. Here's one of the smaller ones laying on the rocks, and you see a little bit of vegetation. So you basically have rocks that are poured between the sidewalk and the water itself. So you have a rock barrier, and then you have some vegetation that grows up in between the rocks. So when they're laying on these rocks, they're not really that far away from the sidewalk. I'd say within 10 feet or so. 10, 15 feet. There's some more stills. Now this one has that look like when it's eating something. When they eat, many a time they'll have part of their body laying on land and their tail might still be in the water, and they'll lift their head up and they'll chomp on the food depending on what it is. And when they lift their head up to chew, their tail usually rises up out of the water and curls upwards, which is really cool to see. This one's just enjoying the sun, drying whatever mud is on it. Has a little grass hanging out of the mouth. Pretty good size one here. Now there are other things other than alligators, so we'll give you a break from the gators. There are some cormorants. And here's a quick video of one trying to dry itself off after getting out of the water, searching for food for a while. The cormorants don't have oil glands, so the water doesn't like beat up on their feathers, where, you know, they could just stay in the water as long as they want. So when they get out of the water, they'll stretch out their wings, they'll flap their wings and dry themselves off, and then eventually they'll go back in the water again to get more food and start the process all over again. Okay, you could see starting to stretch the wings out a little bit more, letting the sun hit them, trying to dry off a little quicker. Some other friends that were around. Here's a tern with a fish. And this is a Yellowlegs, and the Yellowlegs was hanging around. This was before the gators showed up on that island. Eventually you had this one here that was, you know, relatively close to the island. And at this point, when I panned across, the Yellowlegs was still there. The gator didn't get close enough at that point in time for it to leave. So you'll see a little bit of the video here of the Yellowlegs just walking around in the grasses, and I'm assuming picking off insects. didn't see it, get any small fish or anything, so must be just eating insects, aquatic beetles, that type of thing. Maybe some worms if it found any worms. But typically in the morning before the sun comes up and has been out for a little while, where things start to warm up, these small birds do congregate and hang around that small island of grass, and eventually the gators will take over, and those birds are smart enough not to hang around, because a week or so ago we did have a pelican that got eaten by a gator, so they have to be careful. And then we had some snowy egrets here looking for some food. This one was near the island at one time as well. And this one I'll zoom in on here, a big crop. You can see the small fish just starting to head towards the mouth. And then a quick video of one grooming itself on a rock. All these birds spend so much time during the day grooming themselves and trying to make themselves look good. Here's one that has the attitude kicking in. Here's a semi-palmated plover, and it had just gotten out of the water and was just kind of drying itself off. And here, it has a feather stuck to the end of its bill. And here's a video of it doing its bathing routine at full speed. And it works really, really hard, flapping those wings and beating on the tail feathers to make sure that they get cleaned as well. And like I said, this is at normal speed, so that's really how it looks to your naked eye. And then it just heads off and walks away. This is a leased sandpiper. And then went to a different area and found this beautiful cardinal that was nice enough to pose for me. And then found one in the woods that had an exceptionally strong color pattern, very nice dark red. And of course we had the pelicans. Not a lot, just a few. But they offered some entertainment. And I got, a handful of clips here, still images, and I'll have some video clips, which will be similar to what you saw in my last video. I love that pose when they're just ready to, hit the water like that to try to get a fish. And now we'll move on to some video clips. I mean, some days you don't see them get too much, at least nothing large, and so we'll kind of comment that it probably burned more calories than it consumed on certain days when it doesn't have the luck on its side. Takes a lot of effort to keep flying and hitting the water like that over and over and over again. Here's where it's like forcing all the water out of its mouth, and if it's lucky, there's a fish left behind. Yeah, this repetitive, you know, fly 50 feet, 75 feet and hit the water. Give them a lot of credit. They have to work hard for their food. But I love how they can just, their wingtips just touch the water. And here's a series of stills that are funny as it tries to get on this portion of a rice trunk and balancing itself on there, and it worked so hard to be able to just stand at the peak of that piece of wood and didn't stay there too long. And we had a great blue heron, a few of those around. There was one Anhinga and a couple very colorful shots of a tricolored heron with the lighting just right that I really enjoyed. And we'll finish this up with a few more video clips of the alligators. And I hope Mr. Bixby, I hope you're happy there in Australia, and I showed you enough alligators to last you for a little while anyway. But it is the first thing that tourists ask about when they see the photographers taking pictures. I mean, the first words out of their mouth as they slow down is, are there any gators? Where are the gators? I mean, you could have the most beautiful birds in the world, and the gators are the most important. In this video clip, I thought that gator was going to go in stealth mode and get that Yellowlegs, but as I pan across in a second here, the bird was smart enough to make sure that it was no longer there. And this is the final video clip. Nothing overly exciting. This gator is just basically laying there in the grasses, not doing much of anything. We did not catch any alligators getting any large prey at all the last 2 times out. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give me a thumbs up, make a comment, and visit again. I wish everybody who celebrates Easter to have a wonderful Easter on Sunday. Hope you share it with family and friends. And until next time, as I say, enjoy life, capture some of it, get out there and get some images to share with your friends and family, and make a print once in a while, or make a photo book, as I keep bringing that up every once in a while. That stuff will be around a lot longer than your digital files will be. So that's it. Take care. Have a good one.